Broken, coming off of a fiery episode last week with Drew. Lots of people said it was one of our best episodes this season, but every episode is one of our best episodes this season. Today we have Kellie from season 45. What the hell, guys? I mean, I know that that's said all the time to you.
Yeah, honestly.
And I wasn't even going to bring it up, but then I was like, everyone will know who I'm talking about because there's been a couple Kellies on Survivor.
That's true. That's fair. But honestly,
there's only
Tyson,
been what the hell, guys, Kellie.
There's only one what the hell, guys, Kellie. And there's also only one Kellie spelled with an IE, which is my defining feature. But honestly, I kind of expected a better, more creative intro from you. And what the hell, guys? Everyone says what the hell, guys, to me.
Kellie Nalbandian, as we know her.
Oh, okay. That's a very good pronunciation of my last name.
Did I get it right?
You did. You got it perfectly right.
Hey. Dude, come on.
You can sit in Jeff's chair instead of Rome.
That's right. I never got the I never got the opportunity, but I also never really pushed for it. Kellie, before we get into episode 10 here, lots of people everywhere I go, if they recognize me on the street and they're watching this season of Survivor, they are saying this is the best season of the new era. Agree or disagree, and why?
Well, I feel like the meta right now is that season 45 is the best season of the new era. Which, you know,
is that just you, or is that like what you're hearing on the streets?
That's what I'm hearing on the streets. I mean, maybe people are blowing smoke up my ass, but I think that's all over the streets.
Okay.
So I'm feeling a little threatened, right? I like our position as the top dog, but I will say I am enjoying the season. I think the strategy is very fun. I like how it's very fluid and open, which is sort of like a direct contrast to like the Reba 4 dominance on our season. You got to see how it ends. It's a little early to call it.
It is early to call it.
That's
like
fair.
I thought that too. Like I'm hearing that, and I do love the season, but also it's like as the end game draws near, that's going to really determine whether or not it's the greatest of the new era. Second question I get commonly asked: why is Sue so dirty?
I was thinking this the whole episode, even at Tribal Council, with literally rain like dripping down everywhere.
Mud pools gathering on her face. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of theories. I've seen like theories that she's like contouring with dirt.
I've heard that.
Like trying to do. I was like, okay, if that is what she's doing, then put her on Game Changers because the game has been changed. But
that's right.
I don't know if she's just not washing her face because the rest of her doesn't look.
Is she not a
dirty.
water person, maybe? Or is she not a face in the water person, maybe? Like, Russell Hantz famously barely got in the water.
Yes,
Tony the same. They're just like
this.
not water people. And they're like, you show them water and they recoil. And it's just like, I don't know. So is Sue
maybe
one of
there's a
those
strategy.
people?
Is there a strategy to like being smellier?
No.
No, it's a bad strategy.
It's worse. Yeah, it's worse for you. And even just like showing fear of like water. I mean, it's not
lower your threat level at this point.
It might lower your threat level, but yeah, my theory, and I could be totally wrong, and I'm going to ask our listeners here: have we been seeing Sue get in the water, or have we not? Because I don't recall, but I also haven't been like focused on it. But so many people. Can't you rinse your face? Can't you do like that? Yeah, I was like, yeah, you can do all of that. But maybe she's sleeping face down in the ashes. You don't have mirrors out there and she doesn't, like that happens too. Like you're too close to the fire where the fire was built the night before.
Goes on her face.
And you're like accidentally like smothered in them. But those are the two most common statements I'm getting.
You would think that someone would tell her like,
no, you don't tell. You guys
your
like
face is dirty. Like wash it
it's
off.
too funny. It's too funny.
It's too funny.
It's too funny to say that.
Bit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you wake up and you're like, Kellie, look at Sue's face this morning. That's hilarious.
That's true.
Isn't that funny? And then you always have something. Yeah, you really do. So those were my.
All right, so that's the theme of the season: dirty contestants. Okay.
The Survivor 47, the best season of the new era, will also be known as Sue's dirty face.
I think it could be the dirtiest season of the new era, double meaning with Andy's challenge moments.
Oh, yeah. We
Hmm.
almost had another meme this week with him. I thought he was going to
Almost.
start like
Oh, it's
going at the
happening.
sand dune. You
He
think there's
does. It's
something
gonna
with the
happen.
sand dune one?
He licked the ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. He did lick the ball. I forgot. I have it written in my notes right here. I forgot. He tried to push the ball forward with his tongue.
Yeah.
And he bit it. And I think he
Yeah.
successfully
Yeah,
moved
the
it.
bite worked.
I
worked.
also, honestly, when I was looking at people nudging it, I was like, if you could find a loose piece of fabric to bite on, you could just like pick it up with your teeth. But it takes a lot of confidence to be like, I can move this ball by pushing my tongue. Like there has to be some background of some tongue effort to be like, I have the strength for this.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe not. Maybe it's desperation.
He's making a statement about his tongue strength, I guess.
Yeah. And it
I
was
feel
slow
like
mo.
Andy, like he probably left the season knowing that this would definitely be shown, but the
No.
other two moments, no.
No.
How could you push something with your tongue and be like, they're not going to roast me for that?
He doesn't even remember that he pushed it with his tongue.
That's
And yeah. And this is the one time Andy gets a pass for not wiping the sand off of his face because his hands were tied.
Yeah.
Like in the past, we've been like, Andy, wipe your face. He will just leave sand particles on his face. Sue just
we're
leaves
back. We're back to
dust
the
and
theme.
dirt. Dirtiest
Yeah,
season
the
of all
dirtiest.
time
Dirtiest season.
since the peanut butter and the shower. Are you too young to remember that?
What
I
was
am
that
too.
from?
Even before me, there was, I think the All-Stars or one of those seasons,
Okay.
Jeff offered 2 women peanut butter to shower together. You don't remember that?
Oh,
They
I've heard
gotta
about
shower.
this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that season. I haven't
Yeah.
seen
Haven't
about
either.
8 seasons of Survivor, and that's one of them.
Okay.
Wow. Yikes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
Dang.
yikes. Okay.
So this is second dirtiest. This is dirtiest of the new era.
Okay. You know what? They can't be the best, so they can be the dirtiest.
Yeah.
There we go. Everyone's happy. That's a compromise.
They might not be happy. They might prefer the best over the dirtiest.
Well, I'm assigning them that they
Okay.
are happy with this. Yeah.
Let's go back after last tribal council. Teenie and Genevieve back at camp. What do you think of this interaction?
Really interesting. I mean, honestly, I thought Teenie was gonna flip her lid a little more, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was like that was rough. I
Yeah.
think it's a really interesting like kind of like viewpoint into like 2 extreme ways to play the game, right? Like someone who's just like, I am not gonna feel anything, Ice Queen. And then someone who's like, I'm feeling everything. And then they end up in this sort of de facto alliance together based on where they were. So it's a very interesting coming together. I think probably the sweet spot somewhere in the middle of them two, because I think by design, Survivor is an emotional and social game. And so you can't shut everything off, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end up with the two of them, but it's a very it's a good intersection of like very dichotomous ways to play Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a wrong and a right here in this conversation? Did anybody execute properly or improperly with Teenie? Like Genevieve comes back, she's like, I'm sorry, Teenie. And Teenie's like, no, I'm sorry that you missed out on making me look stupid, even more stupid.
That was honestly, I feel like Teenie has the right to like dig the knife.
Yeah, for
just
sure
a
she
bit.
does. Like, was that
Yeah.
enough? Was that too much? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to, because right now Teenie's play is to make Genevieve feel guilty and
Mhm.
remorseful, and maybe to the point of sympathizing with Teenie enough to
Yeah.
like
I
maybe
think that
overlook
Teenie-
strategy a bit.
Working.
Teenie succeeded there for sure. I think you actually got Genevieve like tearing up in a confessional when she has just been like, I don't give a crap about anybody. She even said in tribal council to everybody else, she's like, I'm 007 licensed to kill. Like, I don't know what is more like a scary thing to say than that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would think like, it'll probably be fine for Teenie. I feel like Teenie is in this sort of like a little bit like a Ben Katzman situation where like she's sort of able to like maneuver between people, not be seen as the biggest threat. Genevieve is not going to be thinking that Teenie's like so gunning for them, which is kind of shocking. Worked out well for Genevieve, I think, in this situation.
And I want to talk about Genevieve's statement here about like she wanted to play without emotion, but now when you have to and you're feeling emotion and you've hurt someone, it doesn't feel like a fun game anymore. Does it come to that point? Is it where you have cut someone so close or you know that you're going to have to, where the fun is kind of sucked out of it?
I think that there's like this element of like instantaneous fun when you pull something off or you're doing something and you're like, oh my God, this is what I've dreamed of on the couch, like woohoo. And then when it actually happens, it doesn't feel great. Like even when I didn't even know Sifu very well. But because of that whole like, oh, he's not gonna make the jury, I felt surprisingly guilty about what I was doing when I went at home, I was like, I don't give a crap. I would literally slit anyone's throat to win this game,
Yeah.
which is like, I think there could be still a truth that Genevieve is living is that like, you could be ruthless and actually do that, but still feel bad about it. It's just like the
Mhm.
place to have that emotion is in your confessional or, play it up on purpose so that people don't think that you're some like total robot because honestly, like how people are
Sociopath.
going to vote. Yeah, you don't like
Yeah.
people do vote in the end for a winner emotionally a lot of times. They
Yeah.
pretend that it's strategy but I think very few people are only voting strictly on gameplay. And so how you make people will always remember that. And
Well,
so you
making
have
people
to
feel a certain way is gameplay.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say here is like that might be Genevieve's maybe one a sort of like missing link here for her as we look deeper is like are people going to be feeling if she does this to Teeny and to other people throughout the game like how do you balance that I don't
Mm.
know.
I think Genevieve's in a tight spot here because now she's
Yeah.
seen as an ice cold killer
Yeah.
who
Mhm.
is unwilling to play with emotion, which if you're with her, you're like, okay, this is dangerous. This is someone I need to take out.
Yeah.
But I think it plays in her favor in that if she makes it to the end, now that she's seen as a threat like this, she has a much better chance of winning the game because everyone knows now. I think if
For
you
sure.
get to the end like that, and that's when people realize is that final tribal council that you were an ice cold sociopath the whole time, I don't think you win. But I think
Yeah.
if you like announce before final tribal council, like right here, where Genevieve
Mhm.
was like, yo, I'm playing sociopathically. Now you've given
Yeah.
everyone the heads up. They expect that. And you still get to the end, you get
Yeah.
votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's just when is the moment to have that coming out party? I think is really the age
Yes,
old
Yeah,
it's
that's the
question.
timing.
moment.
It's
Yep.
all
Yeah.
about timing. Yeah,
I always say that like the season I won, I could feel the house of cards just crumbling around me. And I was like, if this game had gone 3 more days, I probably wouldn't be here. Like the timing, but you have
Yeah.
to, like the crumbling has to start so people
Mhm.
can see that you're in charge.
yes,
Like if they don't see you're in charge before you get to the end, you have an uphill battle at final tribal council.
yes.
So
But you
you
can't be too in
need,
charge that you're a
correct,
threat now.
but you need that wall to crumble like
Right.
2 or
This is
3
the
episodes
impossible
before
question.
the end.
Yes,
And it is the
exactly.
impossible question. Like, when do you kick the wall over and be like, ta-da, I'm behind it? Like,
Mhm.
you have to, but like, is Genevieve too early here?
I
I would
think
be
so.
concerned that she is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we get that with her, and then we get Andy. Lots of Andy. We've had lots of Andy these
Mhm.
last few episodes. Andy's web of alliances. Do you like this? He's bouncing off everybody. Is he doing too much? Is he doing it perfect? Is he balancing it? Is he creating so much chaos and misinformation that it can't ever fully come back to him?
I think right now, I think what Andy's done is the best move for him, right? He should absolutely be leveraging this like I'm on the bottom and no one I don't know what I'm doing role as long as he can. But right, like playing the middle in the beginning of the game, playing the middle at any point in the game is always going to be dangerous because at some point people will talk and will be annoyed with you.
Right.
And
Yes.
at some point, especially as the numbers dwindle, you're more critical of the vote. And so if you flip flop too many times, then it's like, how can we even trust what you're going to do? And then you kind of turn into like that chaos agent, like they were sort of
Mhm.
labeling Rome or labeling players who like nobody really wants to keep around forever because like if you keep them deep, like you keep Q all the way till six, like what the hell is he going to do at any time? So even though Andy's like portraying this like some master strategist in confessionals, and I think like he's doing a good job. I want to give him credit. Like I don't think that's his perception out there. And the
Yeah.
longer he goes flips back and forth, it might just look like, oh, he's a
Yeah.
non-committal. He's just here for a good time. He's just riding people's coattails, and then either overcoming that in final tribal might be hard, and then it also may not get him into any rock solid group that will take him far.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm also seeing with Andy he has a great read on the game, I think. I think he's got his finger on the pulse. He also understands his role in the game. But he's giving himself too much credit in that he never is the driving force. He's never even a deciding vote or consequential in any capacity.
He could literally with that.
He could literally not say anything and just sit there, and all of the same outcome would have happened so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because that's the perception that you have as the audience, that's probably the perception that most of the other island, everyone out there has as well. And I think it's true that Andy's in the middle and he's weaving between all these people, but I think there's also other players who are doing the same exact thing. Like Rachel comes to mind. I think Sam is trying to start doing that. Caroline sort of begins this time. So now you have a group of 4 or even, 4-ish players who are all kind of doing this same strategy that Andy has. And yes, it might be more impressive because he's overcome such a hurdle of his own doing, but he still overcame it and he's here. So maybe he gets slightly more credit, but I think you have to always, it's really hard to do this, but you have to try to think about what everybody else is thinking about. And I feel of course, Rachel and Sam are wanting to do the same thing that Andy's doing, and they're all from the same tribe that's now the bottom.
Yeah. I think Andy is the most entertaining in confessionals to give this point of view. And
absolutely.
What's Sam's perception of Andy? What are people's perception of Andy in general? I'm just saying Sam because he might be have the best read on him, perhaps because he's known him the longest and has been in the game with him the whole time and worked with him. Is it just oh, look at cute, he thinks he's playing the game? Or because there's people out there like that.
I know. I think that they just view him as still really expendable, which is not. It's not great for Andy, and it's not great for Sam to view him just as sort of a number. I mean, Sam was dunking on Andy last episode in confessionals. He was if I go with Andy, I'm obviously going to be him. So I think that there might be an element of ego in play there, where it's Sam was on the top of that tribe forever. Even though he might have spent the most time with Andy, he's also always been in this elevated position against Andy. So I think that might actually impede Sam from ever switching up his perception a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure. And also,
whereas
even if
Rachel hasn't really. Rachel, I think, is actually clocking it a little better than Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard at that point. There's an ego probably with Sam, and he's I've always been controlling Andy, and now I'm not. But then he also, you saw him this episode kind of stepping back into that role of controlling him, and or trying to, or thinking that he can, or thinking that he does. Reward challenge. We have 3 teams of 3.
Yeah.
We got the ball licking out of the way already, which is the bulk of it, which is, slow-mo, lots of time, super exciting.
Gross.
Is there a scenario where it's better? Yes.
What's happening?
We just had a party. Did you do something
I was just sitting here like this, pensively staring into your eyes. I don't know.
Yeah. And that it knew that balloons is what we wanted. AI.
More balls. More,
Balls.
Yeah.
Oh, we were talking about balls. That's right. So, this reward challenge, is there a scenario where one of the teams, it's wiser for them to lose on purpose to be in a majority back at camp?
Oh,
because obviously, people were talking, the 6, there were people Rachel, I think, was they're obvious. No, Rachel was in the 3, right? So it was Rachel, Sam,
and Kyle.
That won.
Kyle, yeah.
So Caroline at camp was they're obviously talking about one of us 6.
Yeah.
Is it better to lose that if you can find a strong group to lose that all agrees to lose? Is that for me, I feel I would try to not win that if I could, to be in the larger majority. But I also haven't played in the new era. How starving are these people?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I feel they've gotten a lot of rewards. So I don't know if they're really that hungry. I think I feel everyone thinks they're going to lose to Kyle anyway, but probably having Kyle on the reward, in terms of the obvious threat, is probably the perception easiest thing to do. I think that's great from Caroline to recognize that. If they threw that on purpose, good for them. I don't think anyone's throwing the challenge, to be honest. But that could be a good strategy, Tyson.
I don't think anyone is throwing the challenge, but I
maybe
am still of the belief that reward challenges
I think they
You should look
exist
for
now,
opportunities
literally.
to not win.
Yeah, they literally exist to just like production just wants there to be different groups who are like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's how it.
and that's why
That's
they're
how
still
it's
there.
always
They
been.
don't care about feeding people. You know what I mean?
No,
So
no, they want people to feel left out. They want people to have some animosity towards the winners.
yeah.
They want the
Yeah.
groups to separate and talk about each other.
You know what's interesting? The people who are left there, like Gabe and Genevieve, were the ones who were like talked about the most to go home. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if like the strategy of them like losing so that they can be in the majority to talk about the people who won, that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but
not really.
if Kyle had a lost and Gabe would have won,
He would have been on the chopping block.
then Kyle and Genevieve would have talked about targeting Gabe.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that was like sort of the thing where I was like, why didn't Genevieve and Gabe ever sort of like have a conversation? Because it was so clear that they were going to be the two targets. So maybe like a different, if like the team draw is different, like if you can have enough wherewithal to be like, okay, here's the threats. Who do I want to be here with? Like, I actually don't want to win this so that I'm back with this other person and we can come up with some plan.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
if there's like a picking.
Would Kyle have gone home had he not won the challenge?
Hard to say.
I think so.
I thought he
Yeah.
would go last week. I mean, I feel like he's just a sitting duck at this point, and even more than last week. Like the Tukus as a group is like such an obvious problem. I actually don't know how anyone fully overcomes that at this point. Like Tuku had to leave the game. Kyle would be the most clean and easy one. Gabe is the more like meta game kind of strategic play, but it kind of just the immunity challenge forces their hand to Gabe.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was curious of, because all of this would have played out differently had Kyle not won the challenge there. So do we want to talk more about Andy licking the ball, or do you think we got enough of it? Excited for the memes? Could we create the memes first here and then we'd be first on Twitter?
Yeah, be the first one to drop it.
Maybe. I don't know if we have the
You could be the first. Someone's got to create a montage of all of Andy's best moments.
Yeah, somebody does. Like the second that it happens, somebody's like the one where he's got the saw and then the digging one. Yeah, people are on it quick with the GIFs. Yeah, they're making those GIFs fast. So, Sanctuary, Sam trying kiwi for the first time. And
under pineapple.
Yeah. Race it under pineapple.
Right call.
I also want to talk about here. So the Sanctuary, they get what? Wraps and chicken and stuff. And Kyle is famously vegan. I think he said it again while almost choking on chicken wraps. And listen, I got picked apart a little bit for saying like, look, and I don't care. Eat what you want to eat, do what you want to do. But if you're constantly stuffing your mouth with meat saying you're vegan, at some point like that wears thin. I just dislike mayo. And if there's mayo on those wraps, I'm not touching them. I'm not even in Survivor,
really?
not
you like
to
dry
survive.
Wraps? You like dry
tomatoes.
Wraps?
Put tomatoes on there.
You would not.
Tomatoes are wet.
You hadn't eaten for 16 days and someone gives you a wrap with mayo in it. You're going to say, fuck that. Oh, sorry.
Correct. Yes.
You can cuss. By the way.
You can cuss. Yeah. Swear as much as you want. It's encouraged.
It sounds like Survivor casting.
I'm not eating mayo.
Wow.
Literally? That's
Yeah,
I hate coconut. Like before I left, one of my highest concerns was I like almost all foods. I hate coconut. I hate coconut flavored things. I hate coconut drinks. I hate coconut water. I hate it all. I ate it. I ate it all the time. I actually ended up towards the end cutting up coconut chunks and swallowing it like a pill because I could barely stomach to eat the coconut. But I did it because survival and improving my odds at the games. I feel like you could handle a little mayo, Tyson.
But I'm not going to. Why would I? Like I
Couldn't
can
you just
get
wipe
through.
it off also?
Yeah, just wipe the mayo off.
No, I will wipe it off, but there cannot be any residue of mayo touching anything I put in my mouth.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
so anti-mayo. And so for me, like, that's a hard stance. Like I'm taking, like I have a code,
okay,
and I will live by that code,
so that's the
whether I'm
issue
starving
you
or
have.
not.
You say Kyle is
Okay.
Mr. Honorable and he's breaking the honor
They're not
code
Mr.
of
Honorable. I'm not even
veganism.
saying Mr. Honorable. I'm just saying like you're not vegan right now in this moment. So, and I
How-
can say here that I hate mayo. Do not put it on anything I eat. And I can say that out there. And I will avoid mayo at all costs
Mhm.
unless I am absolutely dying within a day or two of starving to death. And even then, I don't think I could eat it without spitting it out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what I'm
goodness.
hearing is that you're more committed to your hatred of mayo than Kyle is to his veganism.
Correct.
Honestly, though, you know what? I'm thinking about it now. Jay Maya on my season,
Mhm.
she's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
She did not eat the fish reward. We were all like chowing down at the merge, doing that. She ate there are these like fiery hot peppers that were on the Reba merge beach that were like literally almost inedible. They were so spicy. And that was the thing. That's what she ate. Well, we ate the fish. So I
Wow.
guess she stuck to her guns more than Kyle. So I don't know.
And Ty,
Kyle.
look, but I'm not saying like don't do that, Kyle. Like do what you want. But
But yeah, you're not a vegan anymore, my guy.
at
It's
that
okay.
point,
It's
in
fully
time,
revoked. Can he get it back? His
yeah,
vegan
you can
card?
rebirth it.
I don't
For
know.
sure.
I don't know the rules of veganism, but
I
I,
don't.
I
Well,
assume
you can
they're
start
very
being vegan at
strict.
any time, but
True.
like here you need to and we've already touched on it too much.
You don't
And
have to
people
take
in
a
the chat are going to
class?
be like, "He did what he had to do to survive. You don't understand, Tyson." And I'm like, I
I mean,
understand.
You do understand, right?
I do
Yeah, of all the
understand.
people to understand.
I understand. So, yeah. So I'm not touching mayo. I just want to get that out of the way. Those wraps, if they got mayo on them, which they probably do, I'm
Yeah, they do.
just eating the bowl of rice.
All right. Well,
You
for you
know?
on season 50, I will make sure I'm going to call up Matt Van Wagenen and say, if Tyson's out there, the only
the mayo.
reward is mayo.
Just a,
bowl,
a bowl of mayo.
or the challenge is like
Oh
the auction. Okay, you
Yeah.
have the auction
Oh.
and
A
the
bowl of
revealed
mayo.
item
Just
isn't
mayo.
fish eyes. It's like a giant bowl of mayo, and you have to
Yeah.
have the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ah!
That hilarious. It would be hilarious because I would just literally just dump it on the ground.
Just throw it in Jeff's face, like pie him with mayo.
I don't think so. I think I'd get
No?
in trouble for that.
Ooh,
Yeah. I think
You're
I'd get
not
in trouble for
risque
that.
enough to do that.
that's jail time.
To Jeff? No,
Yeah.
isn't that
Survivor
assault?
jail.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not
Survivor
assault to
jail
throw a
time.
bowl of mayo in someone's face.
Okay, maybe it is. All right, good. This is a great take for me to die on this hill. Don't throw
absolutely
things
is
at
not.
Jeff. Don't
Yeah.
throw things at Jeff.
Okay.
Am I gonna have to cut that out? Now you get me. We're in legal trouble.
No,
No,
we're staying that
no.
one in. No, we're
Yeah.
staying.
No, you're not in legal trouble.
I'm famously
So-
very pacifist. So here we go.
We get Kyle and Gabe floating each other's names while
Mhm.
they're both separated here. Is this the right time for both of them?
You could argue it's too late.
They
They probably should
You
have done this
could.
last week. Honestly,
could.
that's my take, right? But yeah, of course, I think like I said, like Tuku is screwed here.
Yeah.
And Kyle is like the physical threat guy. Gabe is the strategic guy, which like in this alliance structure is not good for either of them. People have written off Sue, it seems like, as any sort of threat. And then Caroline is really flying under the radar. So, good on her. I think great episode for her in general. Yeah, of course, I think that this was the move that had to be made. But again, Gabe is sort of just like doing this thing, which I think is funny. Like he's always shown in the hammock like this.
Yeah.
It's like his game style is like, I'm going to say it
Yeah.
and then I'm going to chill out and it's going to go my way. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe we're missing something in the edit, but that's what it seems like Gabe's
Yeah.
strategy is.
Yeah. I did feel like he was a little relaxed going in. But also like you don't always hear your name, or if you hear your name, you want to like slow things down so that
Mhm.
like, because it's a very fine balance between ramping up and then it just makes it worse for you.
Yeah.
Kyle's reason for Gabe is because he thinks Gabe is going to try and get him. And so he wants to get him first.
Yep.
Gabe's reason is because Sue and Caroline are locked in with Gabe. He feels that. That's what he
Mhm.
feels. And then also, he wants to break up Tuku just so that there's less of a threat level on them.
Yeah. And I
And
can't really
so-
blame Gabe for that take. I think he's right.
I think he's
that-
right there too.
Yeah. It not a good not a good shake for him that Kyle wins immunity yet again. I feel like you almost have to anticipate that is like a 80% chance is going to happen. Now, I mean, maybe Gabe's riding the high of his Ray Lewis dance all the way. He's going to win again. But
did you like the Ray Lewis dance?
I did another podcast last week, and I did roast Gabe quite a bit for the dance.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a radio guy. So I said, that makes sense.
Not a dancer.
Not a dancer.
Oh.
Okay.
He took it well.
Brandon, and I don't even know if I can say this, but I'm going to. I think Brandon's fine with this. Brandon from your season.
Of course.
Said, you know what the problem is with the new era is everybody asking Jeff if they can do a thing. Like, can I do a dance? Can I sit in a chair? Can I do this? Can I do this? It's like, yeah, just do it.
This is going to be the hot take here. Yeah, I agree with Brandon there. I don't know. It's a little cringy to ask, right? You want it to be offered to you, right?
Yeah.
It's like begging someone to be in an alliance versus someone being like, hey, you want to work together? That feels better, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have asked. I don't even remember if I might have asked Jeff for something like, can I do this? But it's not a new thing, but this season, I think it's happening a lot where people are asking, can I do this? And then it's like not consequential to anything.
It's just so it's for fun for them. It's kind of like for
shout
the
out at home. Yeah, it's like
it's
saying
for the
hi to
Survivor
mom.
bucket list, you know, that famous
bucket
mom. List.
The Survivor bucket list.
Yeah, it's like the shout outs. Yeah.
And probably like Gabe doing that dance makes him a little bit more of a hero in Baltimore.
Yeah, I think it's nice to shout out your hometown. That's great. I think that's really sweet. You know, especially
you can do that right here, right now. You want to shout out your hometown?
My hometown? Actually, this is great because you know who went home last week? Saul, who lives in my hometown of Western Connecticut. Very small town. It was extremely bizarre that he lived there. So yeah, let's go. If you're from Connecticut and you say what the hell guys on TV, you will go out in 10th place. So if you live in Weston and want to be on Survivor, I would move.
Guaranteed 10th place?
10th place, you know.
Yeah.
That's like the America's Sweetheart spot, though, is what I'm running with.
What's the population there?
I don't even know. Like maybe 9,000, 10,000?
9 or 10,000? You have a 1 in 9 or 10,000. No, a 2 in 9 or 10,000 shot of getting on the show.
Like that's
crazy.
It was like
that's
really
wild.
It was really weird. He's not from there, but like nobody is from my town. Like it's very small. It is like a New York City suburb, so fine. I feel like that whole general area, lots of Survivor players. But this was like, my high school, my graduating class was like 180. Like it's a small town.
Wow.
We went and met up this week at the single commercial establishment in the whole town. So it was, you know, I forget how we got here, but yeah, shout out. I don't have a Ray Lewis dance to do, but Saul and I signed the board in our local restaurant. So, you know, it doesn't get better than that.
Is Saul as beloved in person as he is on
Absolutely.
TV?
He does. He lives up to the hype.
Good.
He's a good egg.
Let's go to camp with the losers. Andy goes to Sue. Let's be in the final two. Andy's still doing his thing, spinning his webs. Like, I think he missed an opportunity to call himself the webmaster. I think Andy, the webmaster.
That also works with his like AI research thing.
Yeah, come on.
Dang, that's a good
Andy.
one.
Andy,
I
the
know spinning
webmaster.
the webs feels a little like, you know,
yeah,
we're all trying to be party and you know, that kind of thing.
Spinning the webs, but webmaster.
Webmaster is new.
I like that.
Webmaster. And then we get this montage or this mashup of Sue hates Kyle.
This was my high of the episode. It was so
funny. It never stopped. It kept going.
And it's like, I actually, besides the fact that he wrote her name down one time when his ride or die buddy on week 2 was going home, there's no reason that she should hate him this much. It's just, it's so funny. It's really inexplicably done, but I'm here for it. It's great.
Yeah, very petty, and I love it. Hilarious, but it just never ended. It was just like, he keeps talking about how poor he is. He keeps talking about, and then he's a family man.
I know, that's a negative thing.
Yeah.
How dare he love his family?
And then,
are you kidding me with that?
he keeps going. She keeps going with, He wrote my name down. And it's literally like 500 times of her saying, he wrote my name down. He wrote my name down. I hate him. I want him to die. I want to kill him.
Yeah.
I like literally when I went to play Survivor, I was like, okay, it's a new era. Survivor's been on for 45 seasons. Everybody is coming here to play strategically and logically.
Yeah.
That is not the case. That is not true. As evidenced right here. People get hung up on one thing, like one vote. And that's their whole game.
Yep.
Is this a problem for her as we're seeing this as viewers, edit-wise? Does she have a chance at winning this game?
I mean, I would be shocked if she won. I wouldn't be shocked if she's in the final three or in the end of the game. I think that she's a very attractive person to take with you. Maybe it's all the dirt contouring. So obviously you want to bring Sue to the end just for aesthetics reasons. But I think that I would be surprised. Maybe, like there's this like possibility sort of like Survivor 43, I guess, where you have all these big dogs taking so many shots at each other that by the end of the game, there's no one left. That has sort of been the strategic front hold. And so I think that's probably Sue's best case scenario, is letting everyone take each other out and then trying to be the most beloved person on the final three.
Yeah. Before we get to the winners coming back to the group, we have everybody kind of like floating Kyle's name out there. And Genevieve, I thought was pretty good where she walked up. She's like, if Kyle gets to the end, I'm voting for Kyle to win this game. Is that strong? Is that too strong? Is that like too obvious of a misdirect?
I thought that was like, that's such BS.
Yeah.
Right?
You were like Genevieve. You all know we're looking at you, Genevieve.
I'm ragging Genevieve a little bit. I think Genevieve, I love watching Genevieve. She's like great casting. She's a wonderful executor of her plans. I didn't agree with the last plan, but she did it very well. But yeah, I think that's gotta be BS. Like, I don't know. Like at this point, I feel like there could even be a conversation around like, should we keep Kyle because he's kind of like a one-dimensional physical player right now. And would he ever, it's just sort of like, okay, he's just going to win immunity every time. We're going to essentially discount that part of the game. And, we'll just play Survivor and Kyle will just keep winning every challenge. Like, I don't know how many people would vote at the end being like, just because Kyle won every challenge.
I think if you win every challenge all the way to the end.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just like too unfathomable.
That's true. The odds are so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he could even, this season has been so much like physical imbalance, but like at some point they got to hit him with a puzzle. Yeah. Like, I don't know where that's coming from, but if Kyle's good at puzzles, then fine. Write him the $1 million check.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's so unfathomable. Token Chains, like I missed out on this one just barely that I lost. And like, yeah, winning 4 is amazing. Winning 5 is incredible, but it's because most of those people who have that skill set to win that many don't last that long. So the greater, like, it's not like greatest challenge people of all time. It's like these guys lasted long enough to have another opportunity to win another challenge.
Yeah.
And so like him doing that, like it ramps your threat level up every time because it's hard to make moves when this guy, because you're gonna carry power when you have that immunity necklace. Like he came back to camp so chill. Yeah. He did not like, let's make some rice, guys. We're so chill here today, right? So I think if he keeps winning out, I think he's got a great shot at winning, but that's like his
so
play.
Statistically improbable. That
yes.
I guess like, you shoot the Hail Mary there. I don't know what he does.
I think he's already locked in. Like
he's now at this point where it's like, if he loses, he'll go home. So he has to win.
Correct.
And that's his only path to the end. So he should just eat rice and win the challenges.
Yes.
Is the game plan.
Yes. Yeah. That's all he should do. Not get on people's bad sides. Just like jury management. Play the game like, yes, exactly. Stuff yourself with chicken and jury management. Just like be nice to everybody. Make sure you're on everybody's good sides.
Right.
And just like that's
and try to go to the end with people who they hate. Everyone hates. Yeah.
I don't think it matters. I don't even think he needs to have that much input on that. I think he needs to step back even from that to a certain degree and just only win challenges. You don't you
Wow.
want to burn 0 bridges.
Gosh, that'd be amazing
Yeah.
if he actually did it.
In a good way. Or would that make it the best season of the new era, or would it topple from the best season of the new
I
era?
don't think people would like it.
I don't think
I
people
don't
would like
think-
it.
It's anticlimactic, to be
It's
honest.
boring.
And that's
yeah, you
what,
don't want
as
to
a
watch
viewer,
something.
as a viewer, it's just like, yeah, he was a
Yeah.
favorite to win as long as he won challenges. And the second he won the final challenge, the
Mhm.
second he lost the final challenge and had to do fire making, we knew he won. Because
Oh
then
yeah,
he just makes
wins
fire.
fire.
hands.
Forget about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
So, yes, we go back. Winners go back to camp, and we get the Sam assembling an army of people at the bottom.
hmm
I mean, what other play is there?
That's what. It's all he's got to do.
Yeah.
He's trying though, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Good for Sam.
And maybe the greater thing we get there is Teeny latching on to anything available, which she
Mhm.
feels like she's got to do and doesn't want to be too trusting. But yeah, what other options are there? Is that it?
I for Sam, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course. What else would he want to do? I mean, I think for him, like he does like to be. He obviously likes to be a little bit in charge, which is totally fair. You should try to be a little bit in charge, like we were saying, to try to get to the end and have a case. So now his best play is absolutely to be seen as the strongest of this outcast bottom group.
Misfits.
And
Right.
so he wants to take control. Fine, good move. I think there's really nothing else to do at this point, right? Like the Tukus have to go. So all right, good for Sam.
And then we get Teeny talking about low point of the game.
Yeah.
They wanted to play strategically, but have played very emotionally.
Mhm.
Need to stop doing that. Talk about their identity crisis
Yeah.
and the fire, like the bag starting on fire. And
I really
having
love
that
this.
be a-
Whole, I love the way that they edited this. I think it was, people complain about like, oh, too much emotional backstory, blah, blah, blah. But this was good. I feel like it was like relevant to what was happening. It was end capped with like a little bit of a funny moment with the fire bag burning. I thought it was really, really sweet. And I think it bodes well for Teeny edit wise, but also just like a key element I think not talked about in Survivor players about is like self-awareness. And even like middle of the game self-awareness. So the like being able to recognize like, hey, I am playing emotionally already puts Teeny in like ahead of like someone like Sue, who is like thinking like I have to get Kyle out because he wrote his name down. But in reality, she's just mostly playing emotionally. So here Teeny's like, okay, this is like step one of elevating to the next part of their game would be like, okay, I know I'm playing emotionally. At least I'm aware of it. How can I stop a little bit? How can I dial this back just a bit? So I really enjoyed it. And then the bag on fire, wow. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
That was like, it was really burned. Like there's a huge hole.
Yeah. But I could still hold stuff. I wasn't too, I was like looking at it like whatever. It was in the
worse than
moment
I
you'd be
thought.
like, oh shoot. And then it was a hole. I was like, too bad she didn't have an advantage in there. So as people are putting it out, they're like, and what's this? What is this?
That would have been funny.
Would have been really funny.
Like how Teeny was just kind of like, oh no, my bag's on fire, and kind of stood there with the bag.
Yeah.
Just letting it be on
was
fire.
Just sort of
and I was like,
this is how it's going for me.
oh man.
Everything's in flames, including my bag.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole game. My life is in shambles here on the island as everything burns. And it is true. Like, that's the moment where you're like, this is literally the only thing I have and it's on fire.
Very true.
Only because of fire and no other reason. Ethan saved my life on Edge of Extinction on Winners at War as I was asleep next to the fire with my back against the fire, and a fire log rolled off the fire onto my back.
Oh, that's bad.
And I didn't even wake up. He pushed it away from my back. And then he was like, dude, look at the back of your shirt. I had a big burn mark on the back of my shirt. And he's like, a log fell off the fire right up against your back and you didn't move. And I was
That's wild. You were screwed. How did you not wake up?
Because I was so tired probably at that point. There's just like a night
Your
or
pain
two out there.
So high.
Oh my goodness.
Well, there's just it was a denim shirt. So I think he got to it before I felt it, before I felt it burn.
Another heroic moment for Ethan's on.
Yes. It bumped up against my back But I
Yeah.
think I was like, you have a night once in a while out there on Survivor where you're so tired from not sleeping at all
Oh
that you
yeah.
just like pass out for like one night or two nights out there where you're just like deep, deep sleep, and you finally hit REM for the
Mm-hmm,
first
mm-hmm.
time in a week and a half. And that was one of those nights
That's so
where,
true.
yeah. And
I
so
literally thought that I would be like awake every night of Survivor, like stressed, and I slept so hard because I was just exhausted, beyond
every night,
exhausted. Not every night, but more than like I thought. I won a lot in the beginning of the game, but I was like, I'm gonna be up all night, like just freaking out. And then I was sleeping through it. I was shocked, but your body is exhausted. But people, like, not everyone responds like that. I have a very funny story about my good buddy Bruce and sleeping, which I'm going to
yeah,
share right now. So
yeah.
me and Caleb were up at the merge talking in the middle of the night. Like I was like, I'm going to go home. I think it ended up being Caleb was 100% going home. So Caleb was like comforting me. We're sitting there for probably like 30 minutes.
Did that
All
feel
this,
good after he went home, knowing that he had comforted you
no, I
about
felt real bad. I was like, I am so toast. Like, I was like, I don't know why. I just like, I hit the merge and I was like, everyone's going to figure out what I'm doing, which they did anyway, but it just was a little bit later. I was like, I'm so screwed. And Caleb's like, it's going to be okay. Like, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, next day, 12, 11 votes on Caleb. So whoops, sorry about that. Anyway, point of the story, we're like sitting up and talking for a long time. And we just see this figure walking toward, we're all asleep on the beach. He's walking towards us, but like stumbling, like really, like this. Bruce comes up to us like, guys, I love you guys. He's literally seems like he's drunk. Like if I would have not known, I would have thought he had just like snuck off to a production tent and drank a bunch of liquor. He was so sleep deprived that he was literally like slurring his words, had no idea what he's saying. To this day, has no recollection of this event at all. I wish it was a secret scene. It was so funny. We were literally
That's
like, what is
wild.
happening? We could have said anything to Bruce and he would have been like, oh yeah, absolutely. Good plan.
Could you have extracted
Whoa.
information from him?
I think I already had all the information I could have
Okay.
gotten from Bruce.
What did the nurse do in that situation?
I was like, Bruce, are you? I was like, are you okay? Are you awake? And he just sat down with us, and then I don't know. I let him fall back asleep, and I was like, yeah, he's fine. I wasn't that worried. Maybe I should have been more worried. I was more worried about myself. I was having a selfish moment of vulnerability with Caleb, and I was like, yeah, Bruce, I'll deal with
That's
you.
fair.
Yeah. Did you check his head? Maybe he hit it somewhere.
Maybe he hit it. Maybe it's the long-lasting effects
Oh,
of
it's
his
long,
concussion.
long concussion. Yeah.
The more
Yeah.
concussions you
Ow.
get, the worse the memory. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Maybe
no.
that's the downfall of Bruce in this game was his original concussion.
Yeah.
Dang.
Should we tell somebody? Are we liable now?
I don't know. You're throwing all this liability talk at me today, Tyson. And unlike half of Survivor players these days, I'm not
We're
a
not
lawyer.
lawyers.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
not
you-
lawyers. We'll get a lawyer on soon to talk about all of
It won't
this.
be hard. It won't be hard.
All right, something new with the podcast we decided to do last week, and we finally gotten it done. We have last week's evicted castaway calling in. We get one question, and this is for Saul. Saul, so sorry that you left us. It seemed too early and too soon. Here is your question from the Pod Has Spoken. It seemed like the Lavu 3 were pretty locked in and trusting of each other. Why do you think Genevieve openly targeted you this early in the game? And was it a good move for her?
Genevieve targeted me this early in the game because she believed that, well, she saw what nobody else saw, which was that I had very, very tight relationships with literally every single person on that beach. From Tuku to Gata, I was in on everybody. In fact, that was one of my struggles of wondering who should I take out next, because every single person was an ally for me. And Genevieve, smartass, you know, she's a corporate lawyer. She's one of the best in her field. She was smart enough to see that. And so she decided to go for it right then and there. I do feel like it was early though, because, you know, there was a moment where Genevieve says some things when we're talking about Sam. Sam's going to go home tonight, right, Genevieve? And she goes, oh, I don't know. I'm just really happy to be here. those are giant red flags. So for me, I'm considering, okay, we need to get Genevieve out, but not right now because there's so many more days to go in this game, and I don't want to put that target in my back. So yeah, I think it was a little bit too early to take me out, and but that's ultimately why she did it, was because she saw that I had relationships with everybody, and she knew that was going to be very dangerous.
Immunity challenge, the rice negotiation.
This is gonna be a hot topic.
What do you think? They gave up all of their shot in the darks.
I want to say creative idea. I think that's very savvy for Kyle. Great for Kyle, and a game-winning move potentially. Who knows if he keeps winning? I think that was really cool. I'm shocked Jeff took it. Shocked.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't Jeff love the shot in the dark? It like makes people play in like a way that they have to blindside everybody. Like if you remove the shot in the dark, like, and not that tonight, like, yeah, maybe Genevieve or Gabe would have maybe theoretically played their shot in the dark tonight, but it's like, how much did he love when Caleb's hit? Or like, I don't know. I'm just really surprised. And I think that they're only valid. I would have to fact check this, but I don't think you can use a shot in the dark past the final 7 or 6. So it's not even that much longer.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So,
I felt like Jeff was a sweet deal for the players a little bit there.
I think my take on it is, and this is as I was watching Tribal Council and they were discussing it more, having, and you'll be able to give me an idea more because I've never had a shot in the dark in my bag.
Yeah.
Does it make you play different? Does it give you like 10% more confidence making a move, knowing that if everything goes to shit, you have a shot in the dark to at least roll the dice one more time? Like, does it change that at all? Does it make you a little more aggressive, a little more willing to take a little bit of risk, knowing you've got this little teeny ounce of power?
In that way, no, I don't think so. I feel like your vote is ultimately more powerful than like a Hail Mary 1 in 6 shot. I think it's more like the grand scheme. Like, okay, maybe it incentivizes you to like just really like blindside and like dig the knife in more, because like you're always worried, like, what if they play their shot in the dark? The other way that it really affects the game is like if someone thinks they're going home and they're not, you have to really make sure that they're not going to play their shot in the dark. Or if they're already convinced, then that's it. You've lost a vote. I mean, this is what happened to me on the week that I went out. Like Jake was so convinced he was going home. There was nothing I could say that would convince him to, and I was like, I needed his vote, and I didn't have it. So like, I don't love the shot in the dark overall, but I'm just saying I'm surprised that Jeff went for this, because I think it's another like layer of complication to the game that makes people play more aggressively in general, I think, versus more conservatively. So that's why I was surprised. But I feel like Jeff's still waiting for the moment. Yes, we had Caleb's hit, for the moment where the shot in the dark hits and then the player doesn't go home afterwards, like, and then it changes the game forever, right? Like that's the dream of the shot in the dark, and that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, the design is specifically to have people keep their mouth shut. I've gone over this in the past. It's like there's too many times where you're like, hey, you're going home, I'm so sorry that you're on the jury, like here's my hand squeezed to signal to you that you're out, like sending you love, nothing I can do. And so then that like takes the whole shock value of the entire episode away. And so, that's why the shot in the dark is there. I think at this point in the game, I also think that people's hesitancy to give up their shot in the dark made it better for Jeff. Like that, as soon as you see someone kind of like, I don't know if I want to, and then Jeff's like, okay, yeah. Because he knows that you get that moment with Gabe and Sam.
Yeah, interesting.
And I also thought it was interesting where Gabe was fully convinced he had swayed Sam, and Sam was like, whatever. Like Gabe didn't convince me. Like what convinced me is that like the whole group's here and we're talking about this whole fitting in with the group and social dynamic. Like this is part of it. Like I'm not going to keep everyone here from having rice because I want my shot in the dark. I can't, then it's a bigger target.
Yeah.
So losing that little comfort, my last sliver of hope, I kind of have to do. Otherwise, for sure, I'm now a target.
Yeah, he was back into a corner there. Do you think Gabe doing that increased his threat level?
No, because I think Sam
knew
made
it
it
was
pretty
BS, yeah.
obvious. So Sam made it pretty obvious that it was not
Yeah,
Gabe
yeah,
that
yeah.
convinced him.
Yeah.
But Gabe continued to take credit, even like at tribal council.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So, like, honestly, that takes his threat level away from me. If I'm in the game and I see him taking credit for something that was so obviously not him, I'd be like, yeah, maybe his fingers aren't directly on the pulse.
That's a good point.
Good
That's a
point. Good
Yeah.
point.
He's on the wrong. He's too low on the neck. Can't feel the pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gotta be right here.
You got it right there. You would know better than
I would
almost
know.
anybody.
Yeah.
Also, a pulse in your thumb. Don't take the pulse with your thumb.
Nope.
Wrong.
Then you're getting double pulse.
Hey, good medical advice on this podcast as well as legal advice. Anyway,
It's all there. It's all there.
This is a one-stop shop for everything you could ever need.
Yes, it's not just about Survivor here. If you're into legalities or any type of medical interests, this is where you come.
Beauty advice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beauty advice is next.
Yes. Contouring with Sue.
Contouring. We already covered
that's right.
No problem.
Kyle wins his 4th immunity. Classic battle. Kyle versus Sue. Like, this is what you love on Survivor, is when two people, or when at least one person so
Classic
openly
battle.
hates the other person. And it's who were you rooting for here in this moment between Sue and Kyle?
I think I was rooting for Sue.
You were?
Yeah, because do you know how funny it would have been if she won and then she just spent. What if Kyle didn't go home? What if Gabe still went home and Sue just was like so on top of the world and was like just ragging on Kyle, like, I did it because I won. Kyle's going home.
Yeah.
And then Kyle didn't. That would be
wrote
like
my name down.
Hilarious.
I think Kyle probably would have gone home had he lost.
I do too. But
I was
never know.
I was rooting for Kyle because I think it builds Sue's hatred of him.
That's
losing
true.
out to Kyle here and being like, I was so close to toppling him. And
that's
now
a good point. You're playing the long game.
He wrote my name down. Like, next week, we're going to get more fire from Sue and Kyle.
Yeah.
Good point,
I
Tyson.
think I think had it played out this week and it played out how you said, like, she gets it this episode, but then the future episodes, now we get more. We're going to get more. She has more animosity. She wants Kyle even more. She wants to kill him. Yep. What she keeps saying. Her words, not mine.
Have you heard what she says? She says you got to be ready for the tsunami.
Yeah.
You heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. This is the tsunami. It's
it's
coming straight for Kyle.
Yeah. Are you allowed to give yourself nicknames like that?
Only if it sounds cool, like Tsunami.
Tsunami does sound cool.
Yeah, the webmaster.
The webmaster.
Smiling assassin. I'm like,
Everyone gives themselves nicknames, I feel like, all the time. People are obsessed with analogies. So it's Jeff. So they always make themselves akin to something, whatever they're 007, Genevieve said she's James Bond. Everyone's got a label themselves.
Yeah, it is true. I just have always been like a big proponent of you don't get to give yourself your own nickname.
Yeah.
It's got to be given to you by people that love but also harass you.
Yeah.
And then those are the names that stick.
This is sort of on the theme of don't ask Jeff for something. Have it be given to you.
Yes.
Bequeathed.
Correct.
If
Don't
you would
give
like
it to
to
yourself.
evoke the fire tokens, bequeath it onto someone else.
Of course.
Yeah. Yes. Are you impressed with Kyle's 4th win?
I am. You have to be, right? That's crazy. Good for Kyle.
It is pretty crazy.
He's also looking
funny.
pretty skinny. So, I mean, he's still winning even though he's lost all his muscle mass. So
easier to balance without muscle.
True.
I also have to assume that people inside, even though they're like, yeah, great, Kyle, it's a boiling point. It's coming to a boiling point where they're just like, we cannot win a challenge that,
I was wondering if he was going to get more angry at the bench. They're kind of like, yeah, Kyle, good job. Instead of woo, they're like, wow, again. Great. How many times you can go back to camp and be like, great job, and fake it is going to get harder.
It is. And at some point, and I think when he loses, people are going to be so relieved and so
he'll know he's tanked. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So we get to the pre-tribal scramble, and it is target either Gabe or Genevieve with Kyle off the table. Who do you think won out here? Obviously Gabe goes home And
Yeah.
who is going into next week stronger than they were this week because of Gabe's absence?
I think arguably Caroline.
Okay.
Because I think Atuku had to go. She knew what was going to happen. And then hopefully she can repair whatever she has with Sue. I don't think Sue has a lot of options at the moment. So I think Sue and Caroline are going to kind of be in a tight duo. Everyone's going to be looking at Kyle. Genevieve's made a huge move. Caroline's not looking like threat number one. And now I think she's most strategic Tuku left. So I think for her, this could be a play for her also to sort of in the next time on Survivor. They're like, we're making this underdog alliance. Like Caroline's now suddenly a possible underdog or on the bottom player, which she hasn't been afforded yet. So if she can leverage that in a way that like Andy and Rachel have, this might be better timing for Caroline than them. So I think for Caroline, it worked out well. Obviously Genevieve was like, just like praying to the gods that she would make it through this vote. And so she got a little, a nice dose of Survivor luck here. So it's like, let's see what she does with it.
Yeah, I thought that too. Gabe says in the build up to Tribal Council, this is the best I've ever felt in the game. I have written in parentheses, kiss of death.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're going home when you say that. Yeah.
As a viewer. I think lots of people say it that it's not shown on TV. But I think if they show you someone saying that, it's almost never, it's never good.
Never good. Good. And it's never like that straightforward. Yeah. I don't know. Again, like I'm thinking about Gabe in his hammock. Just waiting around for the game. He's just had like everything's gone his way. So why would he not believe that it would continue to do so? I mean, that's the like, have you ever read the 48 Laws of Power, Tyson?
I don't read.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, anyway,
I did used to read. I don't read that much anymore. Should I read the 48 Laws of Power?
I don't know.
Or do I already have most of them?
I think you got some of them.
Some of them.
You definitely have some good ones. Yeah, we could talk later. But
I might have some that aren't even listed.
That's true. You could make the 50 or 50 for Survivor 50 Laws of Power. There you go. That's your next podcast, Tyson. Anyway, there's like this idea of like you lull someone, you do the same thing 9 times, on the 10th time you do something different. This is what happened to Gabe. He should have read the book.
He should have read the book, but how does he know they wouldn't have hit him on the 9th time instead of the 10th time?
That's a great question, Tyson. That's why you're writing the next book. Law 1 is called Never Outshine the Master. And so that's what I'm doing right here. I'm not outshining you.
Yeah.
And I'm boosting your ego by design. Absolutely.
We skipped the top of the hour where we usually give you 20 minutes to tell me how big of a fan you are of me.
Oh, well, that's hard because I knew that there was a point where you were a fan of me, Tyson.
Yeah.
I was your winner.
You were my winner pick from day one.
And that reel, you were talking about all the great reasons that I would be such a fantastic Survivor player.
Yeah, that must have messed with your brain a lot, knowing that you'd failed me without being.
Yeah, it was actually specifically just you, like that was the one that really did it, was Tyson, not like everyone else on the internet.
Yeah.
It was boring to pick me. Do you remember that? Everyone was like bandwagon. Everyone's picking Kellie.
I got it pretty early though. Like
you were an
bandwagon.
early adopter.
Yeah, I was.
Think, who was the earliest? Omer was pretty early. You were pretty early. And then, so maybe you were just you're the influencer.
I was the pioneer.
Everyone. Yeah. Of course.
But I mean, you look at you look at people's backgrounds, and you need them to have dealt with a wide variety of people, which your profession gives you. You have to assume people that like have been dealing with people in high stress situations, and also themselves are in high stress situations. And then, so you have to look at all of that and then look at their verbal interviews and decide whether or not that person is likable. Too aggressive.
You like me, Tyson?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the videos. I'm like, yeah, she's likable. People are going to like her. Like, that's easy. So that's another check mark. Is she self-aware enough to know her strengths and maybe even her weaknesses? Yes, that's a check mark. So you have this list of things you go through, and you have very limited stuff to go off of. So
I'm honored.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
This is good. I feel like I flipped it now. I boosted your ego.
Now
Now
you're
you
the
boost
master?
mine. Now I'm the master. That's
It
the goal.
worked.
Okay.
Eventually, the thing is that the master falls at some point.
I've heard that.
Eventually, you just
Yeah.
wait. You buy. It's. I guess this is the Andy stretch. You wait and buy your time until.
Is this the first or is this the 10th time?
The-
Because this is the first time. You've still got 9 more times to do the same thing.
Now we're combining the laws. It's
Oh,
getting-
you can't combine them?
No, you
they don't
can't.
overlap?
You can combine.
I don't know. I don't know what step 2 is. I don't know any of the steps in
I don't
there.
know. I think that could be. It's a fluid game. Just like Survivor. It's all about adaptability.
Okay.
Of course.
Formlessness.
I like it. So, yeah, Gabe, I mean, Gabe in the hammock also says this is the best he's ever felt in the game. And the fact that other players are allowing this to happen is mind-boggling. Also, another kiss of death when you're assuming that everyone else is being stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, yeah. And
I
that
think
you're
that's
just
his
like,
kryptonite, really. Like, he's just so underestimating other people, especially
Yeah.
Caroline. He's just like, oh, they'll
Yes.
do whatever I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone here is playing. You can only assume that there's maybe 1 or 2 people who are literally doing nothing. It's not
Yeah.
going to be 7 other people.
Right.
Like, what are they doing when they're scrambling all around the beach?
right.
They got to be talking
Sitting.
about something.
Just
So-
eating coconuts.
So do you agree then with this statement from both Gabe and Genevieve as they head to tribal council that if they get through tonight, it's their game to lose? They both bounced between both of those people. The edit was Gabe saying like, tonight's the hairiest one, but if I get through, clear path to the finals. Genevieve as well. We know Gabe is not here.
Yeah.
Is Genevieve's path to the final clear? Who
Clear.
is she going with? Who does she have to get there with? What does she have to do? Like, what is the route? I think it's like-
very muddy. I think
I think-
everyone's
I agree.
path in this
Yeah.
this Survivor is very muddy. I don't think that's like sort of a theme for this season for me. It's like there's not even
the
like,
dirt on Sue's face
the
is
dirt
a
on
metaphor
Sue's
for the
is-
entire season.
The
Yes.
dirtiest season.
It is the dirtiest season. We're back. It's like who there's no this best alliance was the Tukus. Kyle is a sitting duck. So you're left with like Caroline and Sue and Sam and Rachel have like a very bad relationship. Andy, like everyone's relationship is extremely muddied. No one has had this like duo or trio that has just like always been together and always going to vote the right way. So I think it's like going to be very interesting for us. But I think like to make the statement like that is difficult because I think especially if you're on the more threatening side of the coin here, like they literally
Yeah.
spent all of tribal council being like, we're going threat hunting. So like
Yeah.
you have to think that, yes, obviously it's better than if you went home, of course, right? But I think Gabe, even if he had stayed, like say Kyle goes, I think he's definitely, it's a better spot for him, but he's definitely still somebody who's going to be looked at every week to possibly be knocked out.
I think that like if you're Gabe or Genevieve there, that's something that you end up feeling and saying every tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So
I
that's why I
guess
wonder,
tribal
like,
councils.
Was there play to work together? Gabe and Genevieve? Should they have been like, we're both being targeted?
I think he did right at the end. He tried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's between us two, but then they didn't show like any time to talk. I think Gabe's move should have been to go to Kyle and been like, look, I know that it's probably me, but then it's going to be you. So
Yeah.
let's figure out.
Let's make the alliance of threats versus the alliance of the
Yeah.
underdogs.
Let's figure it out and let's really promise each other we go to the end together.
Yeah.
And that only works if Kyle feels like he can beat Gabe in the end, because Gabe feels like he can beat anybody. So we don't have to worry about that. But does Kyle feel, or can
that way?
Gabe make Kyle feel like he can beat him in the end? Even though he might be able to beat him in the end, he has to feel that way in order to work with somebody. I think at this point in the game, it's very important if you're steering the ship to make the people that you're working with feel like they can beat you in
They
the
can
end.
still beat you. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the balance. They go into tribal council. Pouring rain.
Yeah.
Does it? For me, I would feel a little relief getting voted out in the pouring rain. Just like, fuck yeah, those assholes. They're in the rain. I'm at Ponderosa eating a hamburger.
I will
I
say,
hope it rains a week
rained-
straight.
Yep. Yeah. I rained twice after I left. And every time me, Caleb,
Feels
and
so good.
Kendra were like basically doing a rain dance. We were like,
Yes.
yeah,
Hey.
you guys. Yep.
Yeah.
We're in
Yes.
here on our 6th Corona, and you are in the rain. You might
Yeah.
have a lot more money than me, but in this moment, I win.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have felt that too. In Brazil, it rained a bunch that last week, and I was sitting at Ponderosa wishing and hoping for more rain. And every time they'd come to tribal council, more and more disheveled and disheartened, made me feel a little bit better about my position.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's like normal. Unfortunately, I think the rain slowed near the end, so going to Ponderosa probably wasn't as sweet for Gabe. But we get these small sound bites in tribal council. Anything that stood out to you specifically?
I really liked Caroline's comment about like what is a threat. I think that's
Yeah.
such like a, in general, just an
Define
interesting
different
thing.
ways.
Yes, to find different ways. And that's like people are always looking at like the Kyles and that sort of physical player as the obvious threat. People like that don't win Survivor anymore. Haven't, especially in the new era. Like who is a threat? And what did she said something like, it was like it's someone who could take my position in the game, someone who could do you have the quote? It was good.
I have it written here. Someone who doesn't want to work with you is a threat, or prevent you from being where you want.
Yeah.
Or throwing off your position in the community.
Yeah.
I think great read, as well as a really good thing for Caroline to say to make Gabe feel safe. You know, because I think that reads like, oh, like, you know, even though Gabe's a threat, like he's better for me. And so that can make him feel a little better in that moment than, you know, not make, you know, whatever the other option.
Yeah.
But I think in general, what she said is very true. And she's becoming like the person at tribal council who has like the mic drop, like a little line, which is good.
Yeah. I like that because a threat is different in everyone's eyes. Everyone's eyes, a threat is different. They may align for certain times. They may align, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like that's like the beauty of Survivor, is that everyone is playing for themselves, but has to be aligned. I also want to talk a little bit about the shift here. There's a shift at some point in tribal councils where instead of voting the people out that you think are going to hinder your success in the game, you're more trying to keep the people you think. Like there's a balance there, obviously, a balance between targeting people who are against you and keeping people who are with you.
Yeah.
Does it shift? That's what I want to ask. Does it shift? Like, is this a moment where like Sam and Gabe are both saying in this tribal council, we're looking at who we can beat in the end?
Yeah, I think that absolutely. I think like part of the controlling the merge as like sort of being the one to create the shift, right? Like who's the one who's going to push the shifts? Like I think like, you know, it sort of started to happen like after I was like, I was so shocked because it was like, I didn't think we were there yet, and we were. And so there's being able to control that shift in the game is very powerful, whether it's as a group or as an individual. As a group, probably better. So you're not the one sole target. Yeah, I think that I think they did like sort of like a little bit of a fake shift last week where they're like, oh, Saul's this big threat. And like he is in some ways he is, but I don't think he was the biggest strategic threat. You know, I think Genevieve probably could have beat him in the end of the game, right? Yeah, even though she's targeting him. So I feel like they had like a soft launch, right, last week. And then this is like the real launch of like, now we're doing this. And I think this time frame, the 9, 8, 7 is where you typically have a lot of like big punch players like going out. And so it's very hard if you are one of those big dogs to figure out, how do I make sure I don't leave this part of the game, right? And it's either playing with other big threats or your alliance is so good that they are not actually going to screw you over. I don't know what the magic thing to do is, or else I would be a lot richer than I am right now. But
the magic is different every time. That's like sometimes it's the one, sometimes it's the other, and that is the magic. That's why it's still on the air for so long. So yeah, I'm hearing this and I'm like, there is a moment, and it's definitely got to be different for people's games, where you shift from like, let's get the people out who are threatening And now I'm just fighting to stick with the people I need to be at the end with me.
Mhm.
And the order of the exit of the others isn't as important to me as making sure that these 2 or 3 people are a lock to the end with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the argument of like, do you want to just get to the end
Yeah.
and with whoever because you can get there, or how committed are you to bringing, the goat, right? Term that
Yes.
they use in Sarah. How committed are you to bringing like a player that everybody else also wants to bring to the end?
Right.
And so I think that's the thing that's going to be difficult here, because I think there's a lot of players who are maybe sort of in that pocket right now. I think people want to bring Sue. People might want to bring Teeny. Even if it's wrong, they might want to bring Andy. Like there's a lot of options for that type of person. So
Right.
now they sort of hold this new form of power. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the power players can actually get themselves there, or are they gonna, sort of be in that like Jesse Lopez situation where you gotta win to even have an option to like state your case.
Yeah. Yeah. It is tricky. And the other thing that makes it tricky is like you said, like a lot of people are goats and everybody wants to take that person to the end. But there's people who are goats to some people that are not goats to other people as well. And that's, dirty season over here, 47. Like it's murky. Like
it's very murky.
Is
And
there
I think
people
it's like
Andy can
any of
beat?
them could
Yes.
pop off at some point.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
make that right move at Final 7, that could be enough, especially if you're there with other people who haven't done that either. So it's all about timing. I think that's what this webmaster analogy is hopefully leading up to for Andy. Like that's the vision.
Do you think he's about
seeing.
to pop off?
I don't know. I think that's what he's hoping to
Okay.
do. I think that's the goal. Whether it is executed, I don't know.
Do you think he has in his mind what he wants to accomplish? Like, what does he have to do to then get enough credit to win people's votes at the end?
I guess it just has to be a situation where he's the decisive vote, or he actually orchestrates something himself. Because like you said earlier, like he hasn't been driving. He's just sort of been the passenger, which is a great thing to be for the majority of the game. But he has to drive something. And so the people who have already driven aren't the threats. And if you haven't drove yet, you're not. But if you never drive, you're never going to win the game.
True. I think what he has to do is he's banded with the misfits.
Mm-hmm.
He has to get Sam before Sam gets him, and he has to orchestrate the Sam vote out.
Yeah,
he does
for sure. And that would also be a very nice sort of like story for him, right? Like he sort of like was under Sam's thumb a little bit, like indebted to him even throughout the game. Like that, there is a narrative. The narrative of your story can, I think, help you at the end of the game. Like we were all like really rooting for Emily on the jury, because we were just like, wow, look how far she's come. Like, look what she's done. Like, you know what I mean? We don't know how the story is going to be told fully, but you can see the arc happening in real time. It is like an enticing thing to vote for and to root for. And so that will be Andy's challenge is to get that across.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I think if if he can be out in the open enough with it where he gets credit, open credit, then he's good. Otherwise,
who was your winner pick this time, Tyson?
This episode?
This season.
This season, at the start of the season, who did I have?
Yeah,
Ashleigh,
who was me?
It might have been Rachel.
I think it might have been Rachel.
I feel like that's a similar pick to me. You know what I mean? It's like same vibe.
The new era, you have to find someone who's under the radar, but intelligent enough to know to be like the ocean, not the captain of the ship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's like, Rachel said that very eloquently. That's like, I always say, like, you want to be the beta. You want to encourage the alphas to do the moves, and you want to be the bug in their ear that's mind controlling them and make them, put their foot in their mouth and take all the heat for all this stuff for as long as possible. But then at a certain point, you do need to jump into the ship and start steering.
There's a lot of bugs this season.
Yeah, lots of bugs. Brain parasites.
I think it's so great though. It's so that's like my favorite. This is my favorite kind of strategic survivor. It's like a wide open game. In terms of a viewer's perspective, like
unless Kyle wins all the way out to the end.
Yes, then
Yes.
yeah.
That's
Sorry,
different.
Kyle.
It's just boring. It's not. Yeah, it's not that we don't like you. It's that
Kyle's
it would
so
just make
nice.
a boring end game if you just won all the way out.
Yeah.
So okay. The votes come out, and production kind of threw us for a little loop here, where Jeff did in reading Gabe's name first. Usually if your name's read first and there's any other names.
Yeah, someone just said that to me. They were like, if your name's first, you're fine. And I was like, oh.
Yes. Almost always. I was shocked because I was like, okay, Gabe's name came first. Genevieve's a goner. And then you read the two Genevieve names and she goes, oh no, it's going to be me. And she that's historically, if I were Genevieve, I'd be like already standing up, grabbing my torch.
Oh yeah.
Like Winners at War, the second my name came out twice, I was like, oh, it's me.
Yep, that's how I felt too. I was like, oh, I'm cooked immediately.
Yeah. So you already know, you're already in shock. Then another name, Gabe, and now it's 2-2. And he's Genevieve's shocked. And then Gabe, and he rolls his eyes. He knows it's him. And
it's almost like more of a blindside on Genevieve, which is like she's more surprised than Gabe
she's
is.
So relieved. She's giggling to herself. She's like still like, oh my gosh. So So
the
I
highs are high, the lows are low, you know, for Genevieve.
Yeah, for Genevieve. So I think that's really funny. Like, and I was also like so jealous that she got this moment of like feeling like it could be her, knowing going into it and then still being saved. Like, I wish 4 seasons of Survivor, I never got that.
Yeah. I mean, I've only played 1 season of Survivor and I also immediately felt jealousy. I hate feeling jealous, but Survivor makes me feel jealous all the time. Like, damn, why couldn't that happen to me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why couldn't I have skated by the skin of my teeth just one time?
Give me one skate by, then I can win the game, right? That's
what everybody you put all the survivors in a room that have never won a season, and that's all they. Here's the one time. If I would have skated by the one time, I had a clear shot at victory.
Honestly,
we'd all be millionaires.
We've all said that, though.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Gabe, a little salty, says, you got a little snake in you to Caroline. And then I'll be back. Is that too much hubris for Gabe to tell everyone he'll be back and then tell also in closing, I have a good feeling I'll be back?
I do think that they went out like right after Jeff was saying they were going to do season 50. So I'm sure that was in his mind. Would I have said that? Probably not. Yeah. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough.
I didn't even... So Token Chains filmed, and they hadn't done a returning season really since All Stars, which had been 10 seasons-ish. Over 10 seasons.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah. And immediately as the show aired, I was having alumni text me and be like, oh, you're for sure getting a call back. You're for sure going back. Oh, I can't wait to see you play again. You're going back. And it's a bit of a mind fuck because you're like, as people are telling you this, you're assuming, okay, maybe this will happen. But also like there'd been no whispers of like a returning season. And Jeff said that All Stars was hard to wrangle with all those personalities and he didn't like it as much because of that. And so there was kind of like, oh, it might not. Something like that might not happen again. And then they did Heroes versus Villains. So there was just one season in between. So it was like,
wow.
As the finale for Token Chains wrapped up, within a week or two of the finale, I had gotten a call back for Heroes versus Villains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's definitely the Survivor dream. That's Gabe's dream.
Yeah, that's most everybody's dream. Living most everybody's dream out here. Yeah. Kelly, that's what I do, is steal the dreams of other and live them myself.
Perfect.
So
very likable of you, Tyson.
Yeah. Thank you. And I do it with a smile, and it's enough that people are also like not filled with hate.
He's just a little cheeky. Yeah.
Tyson. He can get away with it. Is he being funny or is he being mean? We can't tell.
We can't really tell. That's the magic.
That's the magic.
Do you think, Gabe spent the whole time saying, I'm going to be on the Mount Rushmore of the new era? What do we think? Where do we land there?
Not on the Mount Rushmore.
No.
Mm-mm.
Maybe on
Right?
round 2.
Yeah, maybe when he comes back, he'll be.
Yeah, season 50.
Yeah.
Everybody call Gabe.
Yeah.
Make some pregame alliances. Yeah, get them going. You know, you got only like 8 more months to play the game
8
before the game
months.
starts. So
Yeah.
get on
my
it.
goodness.
Oh, man.
Set those up. Ashleigh, let's get to predictions. But first, big congratulations to our former co-host Riley, who had a baby boy a
Oh.
few days ago and is on paternal leave for deep into November, a couple more weeks, I think, and he'll be back. So just congratulations to him. He didn't name the baby any of the contributions that our listeners gave. Buff McAtee was one of them for Survivor themed name.
Wow.
Rupert was another
Not
name
Tyson?
suggestion. Tyson, surprisingly, also no. Although I did have someone DM me recently that they had just named their baby boy Tyson. So
After you or
after
just
you?
After me.
coincidentally?
yeah, after me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have
Wow.
them to thank for the ego now.
No, I mean the ego.
It's always been there.
It's always been there. It's nice though to be reminded of how
Nice
cool
to
I
be
am every
You
once
gotta
in a
go
while.
find that baby.
I mean, I'm 45. Like it's fewer and far between.
Would you, if you had
Kelly.
a son, would you have named him Tyson?
No.
No.
Oh.
No.
Huh. Your daughters
You
have
think?
cool names, I remember.
Yeah, Bergen and Marlowe.
And you don't
Yeah,
think
those are
that
cool
Tyson's
names.
cool enough to roll with them?
I actually don't think so.
Oh, wow.
I like the name Tyson. I'm happy
It's
to
a
be
pretty
named
cool
Tyson.
name. Yeah.
It's unique. It's strong. It doesn't need a nickname. So
No
I'm
tie.
happy with my name, but I don't think it meshes with Bergen and Marlowe. We had
Mhm.
when we had Marlowe, Rachel wanted to name her Annie, and I was like, "That's not the same as Bergen. It's not the same realm. It's old timey and it's cute and it's fun and it's cool in its own way, but the names have to be in the same genre ish,
Mhm.
so that
Mhm.
one doesn't." Like growing up, I kind of wanted to be like a Steve or a Ryan. I just like let me fit in and have like a name that 3 other kids in my class have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No.
so it has to be, so they have to be in the same realm.
As a person with one of the most common names ever, Ashleigh. It's just spelled a little funny, but Ashleigh.
Yes,
Yeah,
we share
it's-
this thing. Yeah. Spell a little
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
We get a little extra spice
little,
on the
little spicy on the name,
basic
but
name.
still just like, yeah, it's cool to have cooler names for sure. So
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well
Good
done.
choice.
Honestly, I don't know if I met that many Kellys in my life, but then like there's so many Survivor Kellys.
You can do a whole
Had-
tribe. You can do a
Whole tribe.
whole
Kelly tribe.
6-pack
I think there's
tribe of
14
Kellys.
or 13 of us.
Ooh.
It's like
You could do a whole tribe of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You could do
that would be-
Kellys versus
Season
what's
51.
the most common male name on Survivor?
I don't think there's enough to do. I don't think
not
there's
enough
8.
Mikes. There's got to be a lot of Mikes.
Oh, maybe
There
there's enough
may
Mikes
be.
actually.
Mike Turner, Dr.
Gabler.
Mike.
Isn't
Mike
Gabler a Mike?
versus
We got a lot already. 3 lined
Yeah.
up.
Mike versus Kelly,
Yeah.
season 51.
That is better than season 50.
I love it. Make it
Mhm.
season 50.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You could change your name to Mike Tyson in time to play on the season with me.
Do
This
I
is
want
the-
to? Is that what I want?
Not right now.
We'll see.
No, not right now. He's a loser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's get to it, Ashleigh.
Okay. What was the best move of the episode?
Oh.
I mean, whatever Genevieve did to stay around was
Yeah.
probably
I don't know what it was, but
yeah.
excellent.
And I can't even credit Genevieve with doing it, but like probably
Yeah.
Caroline realizing that Gabe needed to go.
Yes. I agree
Yeah.
with that. I think, like I said, that's why I said I think Caroline actually ended up on the best end of this deal.
Although I
Sam, we
did-
could give a Sam shout out there.
I did
Yeah.
like her, and this is like classic Caroline, is that she didn't come up with the idea to get rid of Gabe. But when she approached Andy, she thought that she had come up with the idea, and she was like, I'm feeling like I need to distance Gabe. And he's like, there's already a coalition to vote Gabe. And she's like, okay, I'm in.
Great.
Like and she's done
She's
that
like the
like 3 or
ultimate
4
cheerleader.
times.
She's
Where she
no one
goes
is
in-
happier for anyone else besides Caroline. She's
Yeah.
like the best ally you could have.
She goes in like late and is like, this is what we should do. And they're like, we're already doing that. She's like, I'm in.
Perfect.
And
That worked
yeah,
out splendidly.
and this happened again, but still great position for her.
Yeah.
And good that she was part of it, because not being part of it would have been a lot worse for her.
100%. Yeah, then she's basically the next lined up for slaughter there. Yeah.
I agree. I'm gonna give it to Sam though, because like for the shot in the dark stuff, because I feel like he's been like on a bit of. There was the previews that were saying, "Oh, I'm gonna cause chaos," and da 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 da, but he hasn't. He hasn't really. He's kind of like been pretty decent with not stirring
last
the
week,
pot.
Well, last week he like
he
totally
stirred it
blew
with
it up.
Rachel.
Stirred it
he
a
blew
little
up with
bit,
Rachel.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't too much. It could have been a lot worse, and she
Could have
seemed to
been
forgive
worse.
him a little
Which is
bit.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
I don't know how
they're
she
I
on
don't
their
know if she
reward.
really does though. Does she
No,
really
she's
forgive him?
very suspicious.
Forgave him.
No, she
Yeah.
like you got. It's like you tell them into their face, like, yeah, it's fine. Obviously, it's not fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do think Sam played well this week. And for what from his position in the game, I think he did everything he should have done to set himself up better moving forward. But I mean, Andy thinks that too, and so does everyone thinks that, which would be funny to see how it plays out.
Right. All right. What's the worst move of the episode?
The worst move of the episode, I think, is Gabe just feeling too comfortable.
Yeah.
Like the second you feel comfortable is the second. Like the second you're looking around, you're like, people aren't onto me. They're not. They're idiots. Everyone's an idiot for letting me skate by. That's when you have to be like, they're not letting me skate by. If I'm recognizing this and I'm still fortunate enough to be in the game, I need to change the script right now.
Yeah. And I feel like he said like, oh, I'm always floated out as an option, but I don't really remember that being the case where Gabe is like one of the last two names before Tribal as like an option to go home. I feel like he's like thinks he's playing well, which he was, he put himself in a good spot for like the majority of the game and things have gone his way. Like you have to think that if even you start to hear, oh, it's going to be Gabe or Genevieve, like you really got to kick it into gear. Like this is the time, because obviously you're the big, I mean, it's like with the ego, you should think like I am the biggest threat out here. Like people should want to get me. How can I solve this problem? But he has had this laissez-faire approach that has worked for him the entire
until
time.
It doesn't.
And so that's the dangerous thing. The momentum is very dangerous in Survivor, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. And had he won this season doing that, and gone to season 50, he would have been a very easy target because he would have just assumed everything works out. I just got to be me and do my thing.
That is some people's Survivor experience. Things just work out.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. No, I cannot. I cannot. And if you have won the game one time in the new era, you should stay away from the game forever.
Whoa.
And if you have won the game of Survivor, you should not go back unless you love the game so much, so much that you don't care if you look like a doofus, or you don't care if like your reputation as a Survivor player is tarnished because they get you. Like
that's true.
It's like anybody who's just won the game, great. They did something to get there, but also things just worked out in some one or two situations.
There's
or
an
three
element
or four.
of both. Yeah, exactly.
You won a flip of the coin a couple times in some scenarios and you won, and losing those flips doesn't feel great.
Yeah, lightning hard to strike twice.
Yes. So
you're Sandra.
I guess so. Yep. True lightning.
All right.
Okay. What else we got, Ashleigh?
The next boot.
Kyle.
Yeah, I think we already talked about it. It's got to be Kyle.
Yeah,
okay,
Kyle.
so what if Kyle wins immunity? Again.
Oh.
If Kyle wins immunity again, then
Genevieve?
Could be Genevieve. I think it's probably Genevieve, or maybe Kyle gets Sam gets a little ego again and then starts trying
for his britches,
trying to control stuff too early with Andy and stuff.
I could see that. And then Rachel's like, oh, you already screwed me over once. I don't care. Exactly. Let's do this. Okay.
But I think it would probably be Kyle. And yeah, Kyle, Genevieve, and then, or Sam. Genevieve could have skated by, and then like sometimes you skate by and you get through that pivotal weird moment, and then people forget about you for a little while as you like kind of cower and hunker into
she
like
needs to like lay low
a cocoon.
Bit. Yeah. If she keeps controlling more votes, then she kind of got a gift here. So it's like what she does with, if she can actually go slightly under the radar and not be the driver for a few, then that's how she could get farther. So
right.
Yeah, we'll
Absolutely.
see.
All right, then what are your winner picks after this episode?
Ooh,
Hmm.
I think right now it's more clear that Caroline could win,
Mm-hmm.
but I still feel like if Rachel steps into a position and chops out the person that she needs to and takes credit for it or gets credit for it,
Yeah.
she is great. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's probably between those two. I'd say right now, probably Caroline, honestly. She recognized she needed to jump ship
Mm-hmm.
and she did at the right moment where everyone's gunning for Gabe. And now she's set herself up to then hopefully have some input on who gets voted out next. And if she can do that a little bit leading into the finale, I think she's good.
Yep. I totally agree with that.
I
think,
agree.
yeah, Caroline and Rachel would be the front runners for me right now. I feel like Andy's getting a lot narratively, so you have to consider him in the realm of possibility there, depending on what happens. But I think this is like I feel like that the three girls, like Genevieve, Rachel, and Caroline, like I really am enjoying. I feel like they're like the strategic pushers of this game, which I think is so fun. It's like three women who are really like kind of at the forefront in terms of the like, even if it's a bit subtle at times, maybe not in Genevieve's case, like subtle strategic play.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
I
Maybe
think if
it is the
Genevieve,
best season.
it's the best season. You heard it here first.
Uh-oh.
If Genevieve
No.
gets to the end, she has a very strong case. She could also win. I think
Oh,
Yeah.
true. Absolutely.
we're going to see
Absolutely.
what happens next week. If Kyle goes, I think I might have to choose Genevieve next week. But for right now, based what we saw, I have to say Caroline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And probably if Kyle goes, not much will change in terms of the, like everyone will be on board about Kyle. Great. So it's like, basically we're still at the same playing field where we are right now.
But it
Yeah.
gives it to me. It gives more hope to Genevieve.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
She needs time.
She
All
needs some
right.
time. What else we got?
That's it.
That's it. All right. Kellie, thank you so much for joining us.
That's great.
Yeah, really great. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. Let us know if you would forego mayo, even if you were almost starving to death, but not to death. Just
Definitely
starving.
the most nutritious thing you could ever have would be mayonnaise. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd puke it all up anyways, and then I'd lose even more than. Yeah. So
there you go. The rationale is absolutely
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
no for me, no mayo. Until next week, see ya.